I welcome all the students of 5th semester A and B divisions. I am Dr. S.R. Basavareddy, presenting you the continuation of the Rivited joint chapter. A small theoretical part which is available to me on the caulking and the pullering process. This is a process of making the riveted joint as a leak proof. Only that is okay. So you have done the joint already. You have designed the joint, you have fabricated the joint, which is useful for the boilers. Strength wise, the joint is very excellent because you have given a sufficient efficiency required for the joint. But now if there is a leakage through the plates or leakage through the joints, then the boiler cannot be used. So this is a caulking and the fullering are the two processes to make the joint as a leak proof after designing and fabricating the joint. So first one you can see here, this is the caulking tool which is having a very narrow at the sharp edge at this point, used to make the plates as a leak proof. And this is also a caulking tool for making the riveted head, so the steam from this side cannot escape to this particular side. So suppose that there is a boiler here, inside there is a steam that is being produced. So there is a chance that the steam may escape from here, it will go here, and in between the plates it will come out like this and escape. Or it will further move down here through the rivet head escape. So to avoid that, we are making this as a caulking process. So here we have the edge of the plate is beveled to an angle of 80 degree. This is a caulking tool having the width, thickness 5 millimeter thickness and 40 millimeter width. Okay. So this we are hammering slightly from this side so that this plate is beveled down, is moved down and makes the point as a seal down, as a leak proof. Similarly, we give a small force over here, the rivet head is going to blunt down and the leakage of the gases from this side or steam from this side is avoided. So this is the process of making the joint as a leak proof. So one care must be taken here, since the caulking tool is very narrow. If I apply a little larger force, there is a chance that this edge may get damaged. So instead of closing the joint, we may open the joint. So care must be taken here to see that the force is applied very optimum. This side I have fullering tool. This is a tool which is having a thickness same as the thickness of the plate. You can see here thickness of plate, whatever there, the tool size is also same. By means of this, if I hammer from this side, so there is no danger that the plate will break down. Instead of the plate will move down because of the beveling side, and it will get sealed at this particular point. So therefore, caulking and fullering are the two processes used for making the joint as a leak proof. Among these two, fullering is the best satisfactory way of doing the joint leak proof rather than the caulking operations. So this is a theoretical part which is very important, and there may be a question regarding the report to explain caulking and fullering operations. Next I go for another important type of design. So one aspect of the design I have completed already. Design of a general structures joint using the riveted, and again a design of the boiler joint. Now I will go for a structural joint which is in particular called as a Lozenze joint. There is a particular word called Lozenze joint, otherwise called as a structural joint. Otherwise, this is also called as a tie bar joint. TIE. So word is called as a tie bar joint. It is used for roof work. You can see here it is for the roof, bridge work, or the girders. So in such cases, we can go for using this type of joint. This is nothing but again simple double cover butt joint. You can see here. One plate is here, another plate is here, they are both at this particular point. But here, I am using a top cover plate here, I am using a bottom cover plate here with a triple row here, 1, 2, 3, or maybe number of rows can be added. So this is the plan view of the structural joint or the tie bar joint or Lozenze joint. The force is applied over here. This is having a definite width as a B. So in our earlier type of joint, I did not have a width of the plate as fixed because this line was a wavy line. This line was a wavy line. So means lengthwise it can be anything, widthwise also can be anything. Because of that, resistances are calculated per pitch length. Now here, since there is a definite width of the plate, we can calculate resistance across the entire width of the plate. You can see the particular arrangement. This is the parent plate dotted line, whatever is shown here. One plate, parent plate on this side, one parent plate on this side. So both are butting at this particular point. The butt is shown over here. So this is butting edge. So this side of plate, you can see the particular arrangement of the rivet. Row 1, 1, I have written, there is only one rivet. Row 2, 2, I have written 2 here, there is only 2 rivets, 1 and 2. Row 3, I have 3 rivets, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this side is a mirror image of the rivets on this side. So this side, if you see, the arrangement, if you see, it moves like this, constant and goes down like this. So this is looks like a diamond shape. Therefore, this is what we call as a diamond joint, otherwise called as a diamond arrangement of the rivet joint. Okay, so let me go for designing this kind of joint, which is used for structural work, called as a lozenge joint, or called as a tie bar joint, or called as a diamond joint. So design procedure is the diameter of the rivet 6.07 root T, same as earlier, whatever connected used here, this formula same. So number of rivets are required to be calculated. So you can see the figure. So there are number of rivets here. As the width is definitely known, so I should know how many number of rivets are being used for the entire joint. The number of rivets are calculated here based on first what we do is we calculate tearing resistance of the plate at the outer row, which has only one number of rivets, B minus D, T into sigma T. Okay. So in this outer row, the first row, there is only one rivet. Entire width of the plate from here to here is B. That's what I wrote and B. So B minus, this is a hole. One hole is drilled here for a rivet. So B minus D is the remaining length of the plate. Length from here to here, length from here to here, into thickness T. So that is going to give me the area. B minus dt into sigma T. Okay. So that is the tearing resistance of the plate in the first row. So if you see the rivet over here, both the core plates are used. So therefore rivet in this row is under the double shear. All rivets are under double shear. So I am going to calculate here shearing resistance of the rivets. PS is 1.875 pi of 4 d square into tau. So there are going to be only one number of rivet in the outer row, 1.875 as a strength, pi of 4 d square into tau. Then we calculate crushing resistance of the rivet in the one rivet in the first row, D into T into sigma C. Then number of rivets are calculated as a P, that is nothing but a total force applied on the plate, entire plate, solid plate, divided by least of PS or PC, anyone, either PS or PC. Since the total force applied P is going to be equal to PT, that is the maximum pull acting on the joint. So otherwise I can say the PT by least strength of PS or PC. One has to remember these equations because these equations are not available in the design example. Then we go for deciding the number of rows. That depends on the number of rivets and so how you arrange the rivets. So based on that, number of rows are going to be decided. Thickness of the butt strap for T1 is 1.25 T for single cover, 0.75 T for the double cover. Efficiency of the joint, one student has to be very careful here in the calculate efficiency. Let us calculate the resistance along the section 11, 22 and 33. So section means you can have here on the figure. So I have written here 11, I have written here. Second row I have written 22, third row I have written 33. So you are calculating resistance along row 1, along row 2, along row 3 separately. Okay. So therefore, resistance along the row 11, 22 and 33. At section 11, that is for one rivet, there is only one rivet. Resistance of joint in tearing along 11, PT1, which I will name it as B minus D T into sigma T. At the section 22 for two rivets, B minus PT2, B minus 2 times D, T into sigma T. Why 2D is there in the second row, you are going to have the two number of rivets. So second row you have two number of rivets. So minus this whole diameter minus this whole diameter is to be subtracted from the entire width. So B minus 2D you are going to have. So B minus 2D. So plus least strength of one rivet in the first front row, because if you are calculating tearing of the second row, the first one, number one rivet in the first row might have already failed. Therefore, this strength is to be added to this strength. Okay. Similarly, along the section 3 B minus 3D, because 3 number of rivets are there, T into sigma T plus the least strength of 3 rivets in the front row. So all the 3 rivets in the first row and second row might have failed. So that strength is to be added to this particular tearing resistance along the third row. Therefore, least strength is PT1, either PT1 or PT2 or PT3 or PS or PC is the strength of the joint. Therefore, strength of the unriveted plate or solid plate B into T into sigma T. Therefore, efficiency of the joint is the least strength of PT1, PT2, PT3, PS or PC by T. That is going to be the efficiency of the joint. This efficiency is normally going to be much more higher, but only thing, if leakages are there, you will not worry. So that is what can be compensated. Next step is pitch of the rivets is obtained by equating tearing resistance of the plate to shearing resistance for pitch length. Margin is 1.5D. Even you can increase the margin slightly here, and the distance between the rows of rivets 2.25D to 3D. So that's going to be back pitch, otherwise we call it a transfer. One has to note here the values of permissible or allowable stresses in the structural joints is higher than the independent. Normally, plates in tension will have 140 megapascal, rivets in shear will have 100 megapascal, and crushing of the rivets and the plates. For single shear, you have 225, for double shear, you have 280. So this is going to be permissible stress value, which are much more higher compared to earlier type of joints. So I will take up the same thing with respect to example. Okay. So a tie bar joint, you can students can see the word whenever you have the tie bar joint, if you say used in the bridge work or rope work. So this procedure is required to be adopted, not an earlier procedure. Tie bar in a bridge consists of a flat 300 millimeter wide and 20 millimeter thick. It is connected to the gusset plate of the same thickness by a double cover butt joint. Design an economical joint if the permissible stresses are sigma T is 95 megapascal, shearing stress 70 megapascal, and sigma C crushing stress is 160 megapascal. So all stress value quantities are given here. Usual procedure, whatever you have done earlier, same procedure. Only thing, slight deviations wherever possible, I'll tell you also. Diameter of the rivet, Unwin's formula as a 6.07 T. So you have 26.8, so standard size is going to be 27. Number of rivets are to be calculated. For that, maximum pull PT, first I calculate in the first row, B minus D, T into sigma T. B is a 300, that's given. Diameter of the rivet, you have calculated 27. Thickness of plate is given, and 925 as a sigma T value, so it will come as 518,700 Newton. Shearing resistance is 1.875 pi 4 d square into tau, and I put all the values here, you will get as 70138 Newton. Crushing resistance D into T into sigma T, 27 into 20 into 160, so it is 86400 Newtons. Okay. So then among these two values, PS is going to be smaller. Okay. So PS and PC, these two are the rivet failures. Shearing failure of the rivet, crushing failure of the rivet. So this 701 or 70.1 kilonewton is smaller than 86.4 kilonewton. So this is the least strength. So we divide the maximum force, whatever you apply here. So maximum force is divided by least of these two. So that is 70138. Then I get 7.395, which I am rounding off to 9, because 7.39 cannot be rounded to 8 because of the exact number of rivets are required to arrange in the diamond shape, which I will understand later. Then I calculate pitch of the rivets obtained by equating tearing resistance of plate to shearing resistance of the rivet in the second row. So P minus D T into sigma T, shearing is 1.875 by 4 d square into tau. That value is already determined. So P minus Dt into sigma T I equate to the shearing resistance, then P value I get as 63.9, which I am rounding up to 64. So you can see here the arrangement I am showing as a 9 number of rivets. So P is the distance between this rivet to this rivet in the same row, or distance from here to here in the same row, or from here to here in the same row. That is what we call as pitch. So this pitch is 64. So first is you have got the number of rivets as 7.939 or you are rounded up to 9. Why I am rounding up to 9 is I have to arrange the number of rivets in the increasing order always. First row I should take always only one rivet. Second row that I am increasing one rivet to two rivets. Third row I am increasing 2 to 3 rivets. So this is gradual increase. Outer row I have 1, inner row I have increased to 2, inner row I have increased to 3. Okay. After this step, if not possible, you can retain the same in the next row. So up to third row, how many rivets I got now? 6. Okay, up to third row. But I have anything more than 7. So 2 number of rivets I cannot put. At least I have to keep the same number as the previous. If I keep same number as previous 3, how many it became now? Totally 9. So 7.39 number of rivets which we have calculated here has to be made as a 9 number of rivets to accommodate this diamond arrangement shape. This row, fourth row also you have to increase to 4. 4 number of rivets you have to keep. Same as this. Okay, if I keep 4 number of rivets is better because you are following the diamond configuration. But I am increasing the 1 number of rivets unnecessarily. Therefore, I am retaining at least same as the number third row. The 3 are there, so 3 number of rivets I am putting rather than increasing 1 more. So this is the arrangement of the rivet per plate. On this side plate, we have also the same type of arrangement. So then I go for calculation of the efficiency, tearing resistance of the joint. So these efficiency calculations are based on this configuration. Okay. First row you will have only 1 number of rivet, B minus D T into sigma T. Okay. So B minus D T into sigma T values I have put here is that 518,700. Along section 2.2, section 2T is here. Okay. There are 2 number of rivets. So you are going to subtract B minus 2D T into sigma T. If you want to have the plate failure along this row, this rivet might have failed already. If this has failed either in shearing or crushing. So shearing failure of one rivet is smaller compared to crushing. Therefore, I have to add that shearing resistance to this. Then only the plate can fail over here because this has upward resistance. Therefore, I am giving you shearing strength of one rivet in the front row. This is already calculated. So these values I am putting here. So I will get as a 537538 meters. Along section 3.3, PT3 is B minus 3D because there are 3 number of rivets are there, T and sigma T plus shearing strength of third rivet. So along row 3, this is B minus 3D you are doing because there are 3 holes are there, minus 3D. These 3 number of rivets might have failed earlier before I take up this particular strength over here. So 3 times the tensile strength, the shearing strength of the 3 rivets. That is a shearing failure. When I do that, you will get a total 626518 meters. Similar things at the section 4.4 B minus 4D. Okay, there are 3 numbers, so 4D is around. So plus least strength is to that, that's going to be here. So shearing resistance of all the 9 rivets, all 9 rivets can fail in double shear. All number of 9 rivets can fail in double shear. So I am going to multiply by 9 into least strength of one rivet in shearing, that will give me this value. Similarly, crushing. So crushing least value I calculated here. So among all these PT1, PT2, PT3, PT4, PS9 and PC9, so least is going to be PT1, that's what I have here. Then the strength of unriveted plate B into T into sigma T, B into T into sigma T values are put here, which is 5740. Then efficiency of the joint, as usual definition, least strength of the joint divided by strength of the unriveted plate. Least joint happens to be the PT1, that value I put here, strength of solid plate I put here into 100, that is the 90. So this efficiency, if you see, efficiency of the general purpose joint or IDF joint, this is much more higher. Then we have the margin along the direction of the load, 1.5D to 1.75D. So 1.5D if I take, the value is going to be 41 millimeters. Then the distance between rows of rivets, PT is 2.5, they have taken here 2.5, 27, 68. Okay. So I'm giving you the figure here now. From this edge of the plate, this is the first row, margin 41. From here to here, this is transverse pitch 44. From here to here, transverse pitch. From here to here is transverse pitch. Then from here to here is pitch, that's 64 mm. Whatever I have here. So this side I have 9 number of rivets. So this side I have now 9 number of rivets arranged in 4 different rows, and the arrangement is going to be a diamond shape. This is a diamond configuration totally. And the side view is given here. Sectional view is given here. Sectional elevation is given after taking a section. The thickness of the plate is calculated 0.75 T. So 0.75 T is 20. So it's going to 50 millimeter. Thickness of these two cover. This cover as well as this cover. Okay. So this is one particular joint which is called as a tie bar joint or Lozano joint or structural joint used for roof work, otherwise called as also diamond joint. So there is a definite procedure which you are going to have, as I have already given to you. So you are required to go through this procedure. Simple calculations, simple, same equations are being used. Only little steps are being different at different times. So thank you. We will see you.